went to Tanzania for a study abroad program. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I literally was calling my mom crying on the phone every day. And there were just like all these adorable, like sweet people along the way who helped me. And these people made it so much better.
Hello, storytellers. Welcome to Seek and Speak. Here we discover the extraordinary and ordinary truths within all walks of life through one story at a time. I'm Biyeni, the host, and I work to inspire connection, creativity, and reveal how the heart of every story is human. Today, I interviewed a good friend of mine, and I can't wait to introduce her to you. Let's meet her. Hi, Bailey.
Hi, Biyeni.
Thank you so much for joining me on Seek and Speak.
Thank you for having me here. It's such an honor to be on your channel.
I know, and we have the most comfy location thus far. Can't lie. This bed, literally have slept in it my whole life.
Me too.
So little context. So me and Bailey have been best friends since 6th grade. I don't know how many years that is. Like
more than 10.
More than 10.
More than 10, yeah.
Literally almost feels like my whole entire life. My whole entire conscious life. And yeah, we do everything together.
Yeah, we're sisters.
We're sisters.
Do we look like sisters?
Oh, we look like twins. Also, context, we did change into comfy clothes because it's a long day. It's been a long day. So we do look different, but disregard that. That's not what matters. What matters is the story.
What matters is that we're here.
Yes.
We're gonna learn things and
well, I'm gonna learn something.
And talk about, and you're gonna learn things.
You're gonna learn things. But yeah, so I know so much about you, but the people watching don't. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
My name is Bailey. Like Biyeni said, we've been best friends since 6th grade. I really like trees and I like animals too. I'm 22. I just graduated from the University of Vermont. I studied environmental studies and political science. I actually got this ginkgo leaf bedspread while I was canvassing door to door for an environmental nonprofit a couple of years ago. It's called the Vermont Public Interest Research Group. We helped pass climate legislation, and I got this. Yay.
Thank you so much, Bailey, for sharing a little bit about yourself.
Of course.
But you know why you're here. You're here on Seek and Speak. I want to hear something not extraordinary or ordinary. Literally anything that is meaningful to you that you haven't shared with me. And yeah, I'm excited. So what's your story, Bailey?
Okay, so for those that don't have context already, I went to Tanzania for a study abroad program spring 2024, so like a year and a half ago. And it was a very profound experience, and I made this list like the summer afterwards of a bunch of people that I didn't want to forget about, like that I wanted to like never forget. Just like random little people. I did this project. I went to these like 2 towns like all across the country, really far away from where I was, and I spent like 50 hours on the bus.
50?
Like combined.
Oh.
It was like 13-hour bus rides, and it was really scary, and there were just like all these adorable like sweet people along the way who helped me, and like I wouldn't have been able to do it. I literally was calling my mom crying on the phone every day, and these people made it so much better. So I want to tell you about this guy who owns a restaurant in a town called Kigoma, Tanzania. It's on the border. And it's this kind of like remote place. It's like a refugee host community.
Okay.
And so they don't have a lot of like fancy restaurants or like a huge supermarket. And I'm vegan for the audience, so I don't eat meat, dairy, eggs. And so really the only options I had like in Tanzania were like vegetables, this like specific vegetable dish, and rice, and like French fries. And so I was by myself in this place, like all the way across the country from where everyone else that I knew was, and I was like needing to find all my own like food, like and like just basically scavenge for places to eat. And this one day I like couldn't find anywhere, and I was just walking around this town, and this guy had a little like small restaurant front place, and he was selling French fries. It's called Chipsy there.
Chipsy.
And that was like the only vegan food he had, and I was telling him my situation, and he was super like empathetic, and he was like, oh, like, don't worry, like if you come back tonight, like for dinner, I will have food for you, like I will have beans, I will have vegetables, rice, like don't even worry. And so I went out, and he was also like teaching me Swahili, like he was helping me practice Swahili the whole time, and like just being so generous and like welcoming to me. Like I think he could tell that I was scared, and so he was like helping me practice the language. And yeah, and then I had cheapsy for lunch, but then I went out and I did all my interviews for my study that I was doing, and I came back just in time before his restaurant was closing, and he was like, oh, I've been waiting for you all day, like I like was worried that you wouldn't make it for dinner. And I was like, yeah, I'm here, I had a long day. And he just like had this lovely meal for me, and
So nice.
and I stopped calling my mom crying on the phone every day.
Yeah, because you finally had something to
It was
eat.
really sweet, yeah. But it was really sweet.
Wait, actually, you never shared this with me before.
Yeah.
I feel like in the grand like scheme of things, it might seem so tiny, but actually the way it just affects the rest of the trip for you.
I know. Kigoma, my favorite place. If this video ever ends up on the phone of someone in Kigoma, literally, you're so cool.
All I could think is pole.
Pole sana. She knows a lot of words in Swahili.
Well, actually, because she has been working really hard and learning the language really well, Duolingo, and you take an online class.
Biyeni knows a few words. She knows pole.
Pole
She knows some
sana.
bad words that she's not allowed to say.
I won't share. But yeah, pole sana means,
you know, sorry. It means sorry. It means I'm very sorry.
So in case anyone is going through anything
Pole
pitiful,
sana.
pitiful,
Pole.
pole sana. Back to the story. I think that because like I said, I've known you since 6th grade, and actually like you were vegetarian when I met you. So like I'm curious, because I also don't directly know the exact details, but like what made you want to be vegan in the first place?
Great question. In middle school in 6th grade, I was peer pressured to get an Instagram account.
Happens.
Right, happens. And then I like became obsessed with Taylor Swift, and there was this video of this Swiftie like vegan girl, and I clicked on her account and I just like stalked her on Instagram, or her like profile, and I was like, this is so dumb, like like
She
it
said
doesn't
it,
even
not me.
hurt, like it doesn't even hurt the cow, like it doesn't even hurt the chickens, like you're just like, oh my god, like what am I supposed to eat? And then I like kept watching videos of like inside dairy farms and what they do to chickens in the chicken factory farms, and just like the concept on the farm, you have to take the baby cow away from the mom, and that itself is traumatizing, and then like force like the mom into a machine when she's grieving her baby, and hurt her. And then chickens, that's a whole other story. The eggs, the baby boy chickens, when they hatch, they don't get to live because they won't make eggs.
So yeah, everything, I know I'm not vegan, like we're exact opposites. Yes, please boo me.
Murder.
I do feel bad when I'm with you. You're so knowledgeable about like the meats industry and like all of like animal product industry, and so like it's definitely something I've been more aware of since becoming friends with you. And I think that it's still, even though I'm a meat eater, it's still like really incredible to like watch like how you advocate for lives, you know. And so going back to your story, like it's kind of insane how you're not only a vegan, but like you're vegan from Connecticut. From Connecticut, who decides, I want to study abroad in Tanzania. Like what were the like factors that led to that decision?
Another great question. So Jane Goodall was my childhood hero. She passed away like 2 weeks ago. So devastating, so sad. But she's my childhood hero. Just the most amazing, epic environmentalist, animal advocate. She was vegan too, I think. And yeah, she's the one who studied the chimpanzees in a national park in Tanzania. And she was like the first woman primatologist or something, and she made so many breakthrough discoveries. And so I always wanted to go to Tanzania because that's where my childhood hero made all these scientific breakthroughs. And also, like I said, I like animals. Obviously, Tanzania is a big place for people who like animals. And I also studied the environment, so I was learning about like wildlife conservation there. But yeah, I always wanted to go there, and I was really happy that I got to go.
Like, it's such a tragedy, because even though I'm not a huge, like, or I don't know that much about environmental, like, issues, like, deeply, like you do, because you studied it, Jane Goodall, everyone knows who Jane Goodall is. It's such a tragedy that she passed away, but that's really, I think that's so brave of you, because even I feel like I did not really have the courage to study abroad, to be honest. And so not only like going to a different continent, but to a society that's like so different from United States, specifically Connecticut. Like I just find that contrast to be so interesting. So like, can you share like what the differences in society, like their society versus our society were?
That's a very good question. There's a lot of differences.
Wow. You like all
You're
my
asking
questions.
so many good questions.
Thank you.
I would say it's very, like, we all know that America has an individualism, like, it's very individualistic. We have an issue sometimes with that. It's very, like, every man for themselves. And Tanzania, and I think in a lot of, like, East African cultures, very communal, community-oriented, and people are very much less concerned with, like, looking unique and like being alternative and like seeming like, I feel like there's a competition here. I went to school in Burlington, Vermont, so that's like, you know, it was really bad there, and like that's fun. Like it is fun to have like a sense of individuality and like express it, but I just feel like it becomes so competitive and like weird and like disconnected from other people, and I did not feel that was happening in Tanzania. So for example, when I was in Kigoma, one of the like wards, like neighborhoods that I was studying in, like interviewing people, there's a lot of poverty in that town, and so people are like, they have a lot of struggles, right? One of them is education, and the person who the ward authorities chose to be my translator happened to be this man who runs this like community elementary or like preschool for like orphan children and children who like don't have families. And he does it all for free. Like it's completely donations based. He's been doing it for 7 years on his own. Like he teaches these kids in this classroom every day, like for no like actual income. It's just like pay what you can. And he was just the sweetest person. And when we were going around the neighborhood interviewing people, like the kids who recognized him from school would just like see him, and like they were just following us around the neighborhood, and like they were so happy to see him. It was really sweet. It was like there are people in the United States who would do that for sure,
right?
But
it's just
the number of times that I ran into that kind of thing in Tanzania, I feel like it's a much more common thing.
It's
in that type
probably
of
like how you said, they just like value, because it's a collectivist society, like you said, they just value using their free will to help each other rather than helping themselves.
Yeah.
Which I honestly respect so much, because it's so hard to do here, even though people might want to do it. Like, in a way, they would make it seem like you almost can't survive without only solely focusing on yourself.
Yeah, that too, but also if I can mention capitalism really quickly, because of the capitalist, economy that we live in, not saying this is good or bad, but like it can be dangerous to like go do that kind of thing and put yourself, like offer yourself out there for free out of the goodness of your heart, because it makes you so
vulnerable,
like exploitable. Yeah. And so that's sad, but going back to Jane Goodall, can I mention another thing about this? So another really sweet and kind thing that these people did, the ward leaders, like the community authorities, I had told them that I really wanted to go to Gombe National Park, is the place where Jane Goodall studied. And I told them that it was like my childhood dream to go there. And this place, corner of the country, like 15, actually it was like a 2-day bus ride to get back to where I was staying. So I didn't think that I was going to be able to like be anywhere near here when I signed up for the program, but then I just chose to go there for my project. But anyways, this place is like where the national park is, 2-hour boat ride across the lake. And they like just connected me to these people, like this woman she's like the board chair or something, like called her brother who worked there and like helped me with like pricing and like finding the most affordable options. And then the translator, I was like planning this trip really last minute because I only had a few days left there, and so he came like to the hotel lobby and just like sat there with me and like helped me call these people and like translate for me, trying to get this done. And then this other guy who was like a field guide, like expert, spent like 8 years studying in this other nearby national park, also came by to help me. And then they took me to this guy who like drives the boat across the lake. And then it all came together. This was like probably like 7 or 8 p.m. on like a Sunday, and then I was on the boat going to the national park by like 7:30 in the morning on Monday the next day.
And it would have been like impossible unless these people have like helped you.
Yeah, I would not have been able to do that.
And how was it?
Oh my god, it was the best experience ever. I saw so many chimpanzees and so many babies. It was the springtime, so there were so many babies, and it was just the coolest thing ever. And the field guide expert came and just taught me so much about like what he learned about chimpanzees, medicines that they use, and it was amazing.
Well, I just feel like that's such a cute story, and like I feel like you said, there are ways to find that type of community here. It's just not as common, you know? But I feel like it kind of defeats a lot of the misconceptions people would have about Africa. I know, like, growing up, like, I, like, don't even have many experiences with Africa, but I used to be asked, like, the most wild, inappropriate, like, types of questions, or just weird assumptions that, like, it's not a place where you could, like, enjoy, you know?
Yeah.
But you seem to have I mean, it might have been scary because, like, it was so new to you at first, but it became very enjoyable.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, the people in the program, and just like the people that I interacted with in the towns and cities that I was in, like, they were just so welcoming. And like, I felt, in terms of being scared, like, I honestly like didn't even feel scared really. Like, I felt way safer walking around places in Tanzania than I like do in the United States. And so there would be people, like, obviously you can look at me and tell that I'm a foreigner in Tanzania, and so there would be like people like coming up to me because they were just like wanting to practice their English, which I feel like is probably popular in a lot of countries. But like, at first I was like scared and like creeped out and I was like, oh my god, like men. But then it was like, oh my god, they're like really nice and just like asking me about where I'm from. I know.
That's really sweet.
Like in a really like wholesome,
that's really sweet.
wholesomely intentioned way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that just all goes back to like the story you told about how incredibly like this man literally was just like, by the time you come back, I'll have food for you. Like, it might have seemed so. I mean, the fact that he was able to offer that, like that altruism to a stranger, is
like,
it
I don't
just
know where
insane.
He went. He must have like gone out and bought it.
Yeah,
but,
he went.
And I know, like, I probably like because of the way that I look like a European tourist. I'm like an American tourist. Probably like, I don't know, made people act different because of the way that I look.
Maybe.
But like I did like observe them just like it wasn't like, oh, like tourists like getting special treatment. It wasn't like, oh, they were just being nice to me because they wanted a tourist money.
You felt like it was authentic.
Yeah, it was really, and like they.
I mean, not saying I'm from Tanzania, but like I think it would take a lot even for me to like have someone, if I worked at a restaurant, like come in and ask for something that I don't have and being like, you leave, I'm gonna go out of my way to get those resources just to make sure.
Not even knowing if I was gonna come back and like pay for it. Yeah.
So not even knowing if you're gonna come back. Like, it's just like that automatic like trust in human beings that they just seem to have is something that I mean, you really can't have like here. You never know what people are up to. Like, you know.
Going off of your question of like what's the difference, I would say my favorite difference is like I was saying, individuality culture in America can be very toxic, and I feel like here what people kind of like want to be defined by, like how people define themselves and like perceive others, like you kind of judge people based on like consciously or subconsciously or whatever, like based on what they look like, what they're wearing, their taste, their style. That's very valued. Obviously other things are too, but like you want to like express yourself and differentiate yourself from other people by like the way that you express yourself through like clothes and art, whatever.
They say like the first 6 seconds, right? 10 seconds makes an impression.
That's not really like the vibe that I got in Tanzania. The vibe that I got was like the way you differentiate yourself from other people is like how you act and how you treat other people. Like it's like your character. Like people are much less concerned about like the clothes that they're wearing, and more concerned about like how do you treat people.
That's really special. I feel like that is just hearing about this experience makes me I'm gonna go back. I know you want to go back because we've had conversations about that, so if you go back, I'm going back. And like tell me, like, what is your greatest lesson from like this whole study abroad journey? I mean, it definitely impacted you enough for you to be like, I want to go back to Africa.
I mean, I think there are two things going off of like what I just said and what I've been talking about, like the lack of superficiality. Like I came back and all of a sudden I was like, why the heck do we care about like the crown molding in the house? And a lot of people think like it's like a poverty struck country and like they just can't afford all that, and like that can be true in places, but also like why do we care about like the pattern of a throw pillow that much? Like there's not like a like massive like home goods chain because people like the status signaling and stuff, like yes that happens, but it's like I don't know, there's just such like minute things that don't matter at all that people spend not only so much money but like time and energy being concerned about what it looks like and like presentation. Yes, like it adds to the vibe, but like there are more important things, and like I don't know, it just made me, I feel like that's cliche, but it's like
no, I mean it makes sense. Like here it's like you work hard because you want nice things, you know? And it's like that desire, that want. I mean, it's you're never gonna be satisfied, but like I think people try to fill their lives with things that like can represent how hard they've worked. And unfortunately it is things like the decoration of your house. Oh, this house is modern. They have money, like they made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, yeah, like people like what are you working towards, you know?
Yeah.
Like you say like character is like the most important things there, and the way they can like, you know, show how that manifests is like how they treat people. Here it's like success, power, like capitalism, individualism. How do you separate yourself in the best way that represents like the type of power that you have accumulated throughout your whole life? And like it's so hard not to fall into it here because it's just how society works.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Tanzania is very lucky for that their society is like that. But I think it's so great that like you were able to like come from this society to go there and like bring that back with you, you know?
Yeah, I just remembered another example that I think really like speaks to what I was trying to say. It's not only like, oh, what do I want to like project about myself to other people, but like also what do I expect? Like, you know, Karens, like they want, like if something's not perfect, like they're, you know, and a twist about it, and it's like random things, but it's like, oh, I like paid for something, like I'm expecting it to be like perfect and like perfectly aesthetic, well done, like whatever, and it like really doesn't matter. And one of the things that I appreciated in like the hotels and motels that I was staying at, it's like little things, like they will like if you didn't, the past like guest who stayed in your room didn't finish the roll of toilet paper, like they're not gonna throw it out and do like a new roll of toilet. Like if they didn't finish the entire bottle of soap, like they're just gonna leave it there for the next person to use because it's like, who cares? Like oh, like, and if that happened, it's like you're like calling, where's the manager, like why do I have someone, like someone else use this soap, like why don't I have like a fresh roll of toilet paper? And it's like, it really doesn't matter. It functions, it's not like dirty, like if it's dirty obviously, but like, and it's also way less wasteful, and I liked that.
That's true.
Yeah,
you know, that actually I never really thought about that.
Yeah, it's like,
you know, I guess it also just comes down to like what we said earlier, like how it's so hard for, because it's so individualistic here, it's so hard for people to trust people here, and so that includes trusting other things that don't
because it's
to
so
them.
individualistic, there's like no trust amongst one another.
I'm not gonna lie, like if I'm like in public and like sometimes I'd be scared, I'm like, what if someone injected the toilet paper? Because it's not my toilet paper, you know? It's little things that in the grand scheme of things, like, is, like, stupid. But, like, hearing what you had to share kind of, like, makes sense. Like, they're just comfortable with being open and helpful towards each other. And, like, they kind of rely on that natural trust with each other. Whereas it's, like, really, it's not as, like, easy to have that here.
And I think the like background of that is very, very interesting. It's very like sociologic and like political even. Like I think that it stems from like a lot of African tribes like had a communal communistic like cultures, and that like shapes a lot of the way that people live today, still. But also like Pan-Africanism and the idea that like just because you're from like a different country or like from across the border, like you're still human, you're still family, you're still like related to one another in some way.
And it's so special that they made you feel welcome, because not everyone who's coming like from Africa here would feel the same way.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's obviously because like America like has more like, you know, I guess in the grand scheme of things, but like it's just like, how can we as a society adopt more welcoming practices towards people that are different, and make them feel the same, like make them leave this country feeling the same way you felt leaving their country.
Yeah. No, I agree with you totally. Yeah. Well, and it's good to have people from other places.
It is.
In your
Diversity is beautiful. It's cool to pick something that's like that you actually would not have had the opportunity to have, you know, really go to. otherwise.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
In terms of like lessons, I was talking to like a culture professor at UVM, and he made a really good point that I related to a lot. Like when you go to a country with a culture that's so different from your own, you learn about their culture and you learn about new things, but mostly it's like you learn about yourself because you can see like parts of yourself that have been created by the culture that you came from instead of like what actually comes naturally to yourself.
I like that.
And I just thought that was really interesting, and I highly recommend doing that. And also, as a neurodivergent person, it was really fun and interesting because in the culture that you come from, it's like you're expected to fit in, and like it can be really difficult not being able to fit in and like match the like social norms and social cues or whatever, and people kind of like will look at you funny if you don't do the right thing. And then going to a country where like you're obviously from a completely different culture, yes, people like gringos, like wazungu in Tanzania, but like you're not expected you're not expected to fit in, and it's like normal and expected for you to like not be perfectly like socially normal. And that was just a relief for me, so that was fun.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story on Seek and Speak. Actually, I feel like I learned a lot about your experience, and I feel like my takeaways from this is definitely just, like how can I ensure that I'm being as welcoming as possible to people who are different from me, but also to push myself outside of my comfort zone and like search for those different opportunities, those different like people and places. I feel like I do that more than the average person, but
totally.
like there's definitely
this
like
entire like
this entire channel, but like also just like especially when it comes to places like next time you go to Tanzania, I'm with you, girl. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Seek and Speak. I hope you enjoyed Bailey's story and learned so much about just her experience in Tanzania. Please like, subscribe, follow for more, and remember that the heart of every story is human. So what's yours?